Welcome to our April reading. I do want to tell you, I started our political reading that we've been talking about. So far, I think I probably recorded almost half of it. When I was editing the first part of it, it was already an hour and a half long. And I had made it through all the top political players except for the current vice president, looking into their roots, just like we do on relationship readings, looking at who these people really are. So we went through all of that except for the last person, which I will still do. And there is so much more that we need to do. We need to look into where America is going. We need to look at the underlying karma of America. We need to look into 2028 and possibly even up to 2031 or 32, I would say. Because it's becoming so much longer than I anticipated, I'm also going to do that reading with lots of timestamps. So it won't be so intimidating. I'll either split it into two and hopefully post them close together so you don't have to wait. So, with that being said, we ended up having a death in the family, and I'm having to fly across the country with my kids to speak at the funeral. I don't like to rush through larger readings. I want to give it its time. So, that will be coming really soon. Spirit was really pushing me towards a message that's meant to come out this month, and so we're gonna do that right now. I have this triangular 3D die. It's almost like a double-sided pyramid die, essentially. I felt really called to shake it and see what number is coming out for this reading, and it fell on the number 7. And so the number 7 to me, whenever I've lived in houses that have had the address that added up to the 7 energy and numerology, those homes have always been this place of ultimate peace. They almost felt like heaven. I mean, surrendered, just peace. I remember I would think, I want my life to be like this forever. And I've actually never lived in a 7 house for longer than 9 months to a year, and there's only really been very few of them, sometimes shorter. If you've ever had a dream that is more like reality than actual reality, I've only ever had 3. Everyone's had lots of vivid dreams, but I'm talking about dreams where you know that it's real. It's almost more real than reality, and if you've had, like, a loved one pass and come to you in a dream and speak to you, you probably know what I'm talking about. Living in a 7 house kind of felt like that, where you're just like, "Oh, I don't wanna wake up." The one time I've had this intense astral projection experience that happened during the pandemic where I was in a lot of fear over things that were going on in my life, and I was taken out of my body into this realm with one of my spirit guides that's appeared to me in real life many times, and I've never felt so much unconditional love and so much peace. That is what I'm getting from the 7 energy. And how this is applying to us, how this is applying to you, it feels okay, wow, I'm getting tons of messages right now. It feels like we are meant to have that energy and hold that energy all the time, no matter what our home is like, whether, we're living in a 5 house of change or in a 9 house of, endings and transformation. No matter where we are in our life, what the setting of our life is, what our career is like, or our relationships, we are being called to level up to where our internal resonance is at the 7. And of course, that doesn't mean that we're not going to have difficult emotions and go through grief or ever be fearful. Of course not. But we're really meant to learn how to maintain this peace, how to maintain this release of control and the surrender and just knowing that we are held, especially with what is going on in the world. We're meant to maintain this. And Spirit's saying it's actually, they're not saying it's easy, but they're saying it's very doable and that we're actually all capable of it. And when they're saying we're all capable, do they mean humanity? I'm asking that question. all humanity, is capable of it, but they're saying so many people are so incredibly damaged. So they're really just talking to the audience right now. This is all about this quiet inner knowing, this solidity in our feet, this grounding. This feels like healing our vagus nerve, calming our nervous system. It's almost like we have to maintain, and this isn't something in the mind. This is not something I have to try to do. This is another thing I have to strive for. No, not at all. This is something that you are. It's like be instead of try. Like just be it, which I know is really, really difficult for those of us who struggle with anxiety. So, okay, this is interesting. With the dice, it's like a pyramid on the top and a pyramid on the bottom. When it falls on the number 7, you immediately see the 8. And what Spirit is saying with this is that all the trains are coming into the station. We are on the way to what we want and on the way to what we have asked for, especially with that 8. Like it's coming around. But what we've asked for, we can't quite enter into it with where we are right now, with what our internal resonance is. We have to reclaim our past. To get from point A to point B, we do have to level up and get into the new energy. And that is where the 7 comes in. And that's what's going to happen. It's interesting with this 8 energy. It feels like we are meant to level up and become like the boss, like getting into our boss energy. I'm hearing no more excuses. What you asked for is coming, and you're making your way up the side of a mountain, and you're gonna reach the top. You're gonna get to what has been promised, period. It's gonna happen, but it's a little bit of a steep climb, and you might be feeling the air getting a little bit thinner, and maybe your body is kind of freaking out and being like, "Oh my god, this is, like, so hard. I'm not getting enough oxygen. Like, this is really, really high up. I'm not prepared for this." It feels like we're at this place where we're like, "Okay, take a break. You are gonna get to the top regardless, so that's not a worry." But Spirit's saying we can't get to the top if we're not taking care of our needs. So what is our needs? Do we need to rest? Do we need to take a breath? Do we need to meditate and look at the view in a new way where we're like, "Gosh, this is so beautiful. I am so blessed to be able to take in this view." But we have to take care of our needs. That is coming through so strong. We cannot get into boss energy, and we cannot get to where we're going if we're not in boss energy, and we can't even have that if we're not taking care of our needs. Do you remember how a couple of readings ago, Spirit said that we needed to prioritize peace, but they said that we almost needed to make peace like our idol in a way, which is a funny thing to say, idol, but it's like the way you would set up an altar, and maybe you might have some statues of Kali. Maybe for another person, it could be Hecate. Maybe for another person, it's Archangel Michael. And it's not like you're worshiping that deity, but that's maybe someone that speaks to you. Maybe you work with that energy. Spirit is saying you need to do that with peace. Peace needs to be the highest priority. Like anything that is taking away your peace, I want to say needs to go, but that can't always happen. And so, how can we get into this place where we are truly unshakable within the core of ourselves? Spirit is saying, they're giving examples. They're saying waking up really early and praying, waking up really early and sitting in the sunshine saying affirmations. It doesn't always have to be early if you're a night owl. So do what works for you. This is just what I'm hearing. Waking up early and going to your local pool and swimming laps, walking with a weighted vest. That's what I'm forcing myself to do. Going in the sunshine. They're saying this is of the highest priority right now, is to get yourself in the resonance of peace. It's interesting because they're saying you're taking control of your life this way. but you're taking control in a way that is actually releasing control. And what they mean by that is when you prioritize peace and you prioritize your needs, whether that's eating healthy, whether that's going to a sauna and sweating it out, whether that's taking a break from hanging out with friends, whether that's asking someone else to cook dinner, whatever it is, prioritizing your needs has to be the top priority. Peace has to be the top priority over everything because the world is going to rage on the outside. Things aren't going to slow down, but you can prioritize your needs one step at a time. And you can have that internal peace and that solidity within you. It is going to get you to where you are wanting to go, to your promised land. That's what I'm hearing, to your promised land and to your destiny faster than it would if you were letting everything affect you. So much more efficient. And you're going to be healthy and you're going to feel so much better. It's kind of the only way to get there. Spirit's saying if there was like a wormhole in outer space where you could get from one place to another that was a great distance in a really short amount of time, they're saying this is your wormhole. This is what you must do. You must prioritize your peace. Spirit is saying you are being led out of the desert and into the promised land. There is food waiting for you there, and that you are protected right now as you move through the desert. So this doesn't feel like you're at the beginning of this journey. It feels like you're being led out. When I'm hearing that there's food waiting for you there, I'm hearing the phrase, there is a table being prepared for you. This feels very much like what is exactly right for you, what is perfect for you, what fits you, what you've been calling in from like the highest place. It's being prepared for you. It's already being set up. Your table is being prepared. It's like already going to be ready for you there. The table is being prepared. You are being led out of the desert. And while you are being led out, you are completely protected, completely protected. To be able to get to this place, which you are already going, the needs have to come first, and we have to prioritize peace. It has to be at the highest level. It needs to be in the thoughts every day. Like every single morning, you ask the universe, help me prioritize peace today. I will prioritize peace today. And then when Spirit is talking about it's time to get into your boss energy, it's like you have to be in a new identity to be able to get to your table. And like I said, this is already happening. This is already occurring. But you have to be in this new way of being you to be able to get there. So when Spirit's saying a new identity, I'm hearing you have to reclaim your past. Who you were in the past, if it feels like you made yourself small to make other people feel more comfortable, oh my gosh, I'm getting a really big message coming in. Spirit's saying you were always meant to be different. You were always meant to be the underdog. That was the path you chose. And it feels before this lifetime, you chose to be the underdog. And the reason why is because you were completing so much karma on your family, for your ancestors, for your family. But it feels like you were carrying things that weren't yours. It was for a purpose. Like this was something beautiful that you did or that you sacrificed to be able to come here. And Spirit is saying, even if you hadn't quite woken up to who you were, you kind of always knew it from childhood. Maybe you were questioning tradition, questioning why things were the way they were, seeing things a little bit differently. You were perhaps more evolved, almost like more from the future. And so that can make you feel very isolated, very different, more like the underdog. And Spirit is saying that this label or the behavior that you had maybe as the underdog, whether it was people pleasing, making yourself small, constantly questioning, why you can't have any real friends. You can give all of your friends advice and guidance, but you can't really take it from them. that way of viewing yourself and that way of viewing your reality isn't going to work anymore. It's not going to work. And so the time has come to enter into a new way of being, to enter into a new you, to reclaim your past. Spirit, what does it mean to reclaim our past? What do we do? You have to rewrite your past. Ooh, I'm getting chills. They're saying you need to rewrite the past because now that you've woken up, even if you woke up years ago, now that you've woken up, you see the truth. You see what was really going on, even if you still doubt yourself. And so you need to rewrite your past, telling the truth of what was really going on. So I want to give an example. Spirit, what example do you want me to give? So if you've received an Akashic record reading from me, you want to do something like that for yourself. Very similar to the readings I do, where we start with what Spirit wants you to know right now, your soul origin, your mission here on earth. We look into the North Node and South Node, and we pull cards. And I'm wondering if we need to do a meditation where you're able to do that for yourself because you need to reclaim your past and rewrite our story from the lens of the Akashic records. When we reclaim our past, essentially, it's going to reclaim our reality. It's going to completely shift how we're seeing things right now. And we're going to be able to move through what we're going through with so much more ease. It's going to give us that wormhole. In our last reading, Spirit was talking about how we can have faith and know where we're going and take the risks, meaning we're making the life changes. The issue is our emotions have to line up with that too. And so that's what Spirit's talking about with reclaiming our peace is, again, it doesn't mean you're emotionally perfect at all. And it's not toxic positivity or anything like that, but it's saying, I know this. I know this in my being. I'm going to trust this. I'm going to have faith. And then even though sometimes maybe I doubt or I get worried, I'm actually going to do the work to stay solid within myself and walk forward in peace. I'm going to maintain peace even in the midst of chaos, even when I'm in the middle of a storm, even when this thing happens that's really triggering or this thing happens feels really unfair. I'm going to maintain an inner resonance and an inner solidity within myself. It's almost like making yourself your home. It doesn't mean that you don't get angry at injustice. It doesn't mean that you don't grieve, but it means that you're not going into this place of despair and constantly discounting yourself. Constantly. We don't do that. We are prioritizing peace. And we're taking action and we have faith, but we're actually aligning our internal resonance to where we're going. You know, I used to do this thing. This was before my spiritual awakening because I always had claircognizance, knowing what was coming. I just wasn't really awake. So for instance, I remember I got this message. This was back in 2012 or 2013 that I was meant to sell my business. And we were actually in the middle of doing this huge photo story spread that was very big. I had paid for, the place we were going to shoot in Santa Barbara. We had gotten the models. We were on this upswing too. We were doing really well after so many setbacks. And Spirit was like, hey, it's over. We have to close down. I knew I could feel it in my spleen. It was time. But I couldn't convince everybody that was involved in that. So we had to go through with the shoot and everything else. And oh my goodness, if only I could have followed Spirit in that moment, I would have avoided a lot of problems. But my point with that is I knew we were meant to close down and I knew we were meant to move and I knew we were meant to pursue something really, really different. And I cannot tell you how every single thing in our lives, every single thing was set up against us. From any logical person's eye, it would look like this will not work out for you. In no way can this work out. This will take years. You can't do this. I was like, no, this is what is meant to happen. This is what we're meant to do. What we were trying to do, it was impossible. It was truly impossible. And yet I could feel it about to unfold. I could feel it like, this is where we're going. This is what is happening. And yeah, on the outside, logically, it was reasonable for me to be scared, to be having anxiety attacks when I was looking at what we were up against. But if I was already taking the steps of faith towards what I could feel and what I knew we were supposed to be doing, why could I not have my emotions also reflect that? And so during that time, we did get to the destination that I foresaw. Our lives did completely change. There were actually miracles that happened that allowed us, in the grand scheme of things, pretty quickly move into a whole new life. But we had to have faith because the things that aided us in getting to the new destination in, like what I said, was a pretty logically impossible situation for that to happen very quickly, if at all. They had to be miracles, and they were. We had miracles happen, and we were able to get to what I foresaw. It can feel really safe to live mentally in self-preservation mode, or to have these worries going on in your body while you're taking the steps forward in faith. And I think the reason why that can feel really safe to us is we're almost like protecting ourselves from disappointment. It's almost like the pain of having this expectation not being met, or having this inner knowing or this faith and then not having it being met, would just be so crushing. And so your body is protecting yourself against disappointment. And I remember when, when we were selling the business and we were making all these plans and we couldn't see how they would work out, we were getting these constant signs that were more than just synchronicities. And I knew in my body, it was like, hey, this is going to happen. But somehow I remember arguing with my partner at the time that it wasn't going to happen, because even though my body was like, you've known this is going to happen for 2 years, you've known this is where you're going, somehow arguing, being like, well, what if it doesn't happen? Or we should prepare this just in case. It was almost like my ego's way of creating balance, not like going all in on my faith, but creating some kind of safety net to where I couldn't be hurt or I couldn't be disappointed. And so Spirit is saying we don't need to do that anymore, because even though we're still getting to our destination, I still got to my destination that I foresaw when I took those steps of faith back in 2012 and 2013. Those kind of emotions that you have can create a ripple effect. They can create old conditioning and a lens from which you see your reality. I remember right when I had my spiritual awakening, like one of the first psychics I ever went to, she essentially said to me, oh, do you move really quickly? Do you move houses or move out of state really quickly in a way that feels very like desperate, or we have to do it right now? Have you been in this energy when you've moved houses before? And I was like, oh my gosh, so many times, so many times. And she was like, is there a reason for that? And in my mind at the time, yes, there was a reason for that. We needed to hustle. There were deadlines, things like that. But in reality, there really wasn't a reason for it. There really wasn't a reason to be in that energy at all. And she was like, don't do that in the future. She was like, even if there's a deadline, there's a job you have to be at in another state on a certain date, and, it's a really quick turnaround to sell your house. Regardless of what the circumstances are, you need to actually have the energy of, I have so much time. The right people are going to buy the house. I already know this is happening, and just be in this state of peace. You have to make the effort, as hard as that may be and as tempting as it may be to be in self-preservation mode. Don't be in that energy again. And the warning that she gave me was saying that even though you're still going to get to your destination, it is creating these ripple effects of energy that is following you into every circumstance and every situation of this urgency, this hustling, this desperation kind of feeling when it comes to not having enough time, deadlines, whatever it is. And she was right. And so, even though we will still be getting to our destination, the emotions that we have during this transition are so important because they will follow us even into our destination, into future circumstances. You can take these steps of faith and you can do it from this place of internally becoming the boss. I am pursuing peace. I am trusting that I am going to this place and it may not happen exactly the way that I think it's going to happen, but I am going there. And so I am going to not only show my trust through taking baby steps in my actions and saying that I have faith with my mouth, but I'm actually going to work on having peace within myself. It doesn't mean I'm going to be perfect, but I'm going to work on having that peace and know that all is well. All is well. And your table is being prepared. It is. This feels like this has been years of needing to trust and needing to believe. Spirit is saying, will you believe? So when we reclaim our past, what that means is we're rewriting our past in this meditation form, and that is going to rewrite our future. We are going to write about who we are. It's really important that we begin seeing our own reality in reality, Spirit is saying. Right now, it's almost like we're looking through the lens of our past experiences, of who we used to believe we were. It's like we've woken up, we've done all this internal work, but we're still somehow looking through the lens of conditioning. And Spirit is saying that we really need to reclaim our past to be able to move into the future because we're not telling ourselves a truthful story on a day-to-day, and it is influencing our behavior and our decisions and our nervous system. So when I rolled this dice at the beginning of the reading, we got the 7. We are creating a heaven on earth inside of us that needs to be priority 1. And then we are moving into the 8 energy where we are receiving, where finally, like that boomerang we sent out there with our intentions and what we are doing can come back to us. We can finally get to our table. We will finally start getting into the promised land. We will start seeing cause and effect in a good way for our actions and for our faith. We'll start seeing the return on those prayers, on that energy, on those baby steps that we're taking forward. But we're going to master the 7 energy right now. We're going to prioritize peace, and we're going to realize that all is well, even though things may look like chaos. What does it mean to say all is well? Spirit is saying it's like a prayer of surrender. I'm hearing giving it over to God. It feels like surrender. It feels like releasing control. Realizing that as you step up into who you were called to be, into being that boss, that is essentially a prayer and saying, I believe that it is well. And Spirit is saying that step of faith or that prayer is moving you into that 8 energy where we will see the return on the fruits of our labor. When Spirit was saying we have to take control of our lives, that means we have to stop betraying ourselves and we have to fulfill our needs. We have to put our needs first. It's like being on an airplane where you have to put on your oxygen mask first. If you don't put your needs first, how can you even take care of your kids? Or how can you help your aging parents? How can you help all the people you're meant to help? Whatever it is, if you don't take care of your needs, you're not going to be able to take care of anyone else. It's almost like not taking care of your needs or putting your needs first is actually selfish. Taking control just means that when you know something in your heart and you're having faith and you're starting to take action, that you continue to take those actions and you mirror that from the inside out. You continue to take those steps of faith. That's all that means. You're taking those steps of faith. And releasing control means that as you take those steps of faith, you are allowing the universe to step in. You're trusting the universe. You're trusting God, your guides, your higher self, that they are going to carry you through, that you are going to reach your destination, that you are going to reach the promised land, and that you don't have to worry. You don't need to be coming up with plan A, B, C, and D with backup plans. It's okay. You can trust the universe. It's time to release control. It's time to prioritize peace. Spirit is saying, will you accept your cup? That's a written reading that seems to be referenced a lot. I'll link it down below, but it feels like that's meant to be this audience. You are chosen. Whether you believe in that word or not, you are. Like you are walking that path. And perhaps you see the world very differently in the way that it's meant to be seen. And you're here to be at the forefront of this change. And so will you accept your cup? Will you accept that this is actually your life? Will you go through that guided meditation that's going to help you give yourself your own Akashic record reading? Will you rewrite your past and tell the truth to yourself? Will you honor yourself in that way so that you can move into a beautiful new reality? This feels like it's really going to bring about some serious change. It feels like if you have been lacking confidence in where you're going, it's going to help give you that confidence. If you have been triggered more than usual or feeling like you don't fit in with anyone, the not fitting in thing has been coming up with people in my family feeling that way, friends feeling that way, clients in sessions feeling that way. This has just been like a really common thing. And every single time someone is bringing that up, feeling like I can't find people that I resonate with. And it doesn't mean that there aren't amazing people everywhere, but it's like some people just haven't woken up yet, or they're just not where your consciousness is. They're just not. And it is what it is. It doesn't mean that they can't be overnight. Sometimes that does happen. I've seen it happen. But they're just not there yet. And that's okay. But Spirit is saying you're not at your destination yet. When you're on a train or a subway or in the car, you're not meeting your best friend at the gas station on your road trip, or grabbing In-N-Out Burger, grabbing Arby's. Usually that's not where you're meeting your soulmate. So you haven't gotten to the destination yet. Spirit is saying trust in where you're going. You are going to reach your destination. You're going to reach your destination. Everything is falling into place. You're going through that portal. You're going through that desert. You're being delivered from the desert. And so right now, we have to remain strong in our faith, and we have to make peace the highest priority. We have to make peace our God, so to speak. And we will be delivered. We will be delivered. We will get to our destination. You will get there. It's kind of like that visual of hiking up that mountain again, where it's really steep. It's like we're already past the beginning of the mountain. So now's not the time to give up. It's the time to take care of our needs and to regroup and to remember why we're doing this in the first place. You are going to reach a breakthrough, and all we need to do is release control, remain calm, and continue to take the steps forward. I want to invite you to rewrite our past with us, to be able to have clarity in how we see our future. This is going to change any turbulent emotions that you've been going through, confidence issues. It's going to be such a beautiful reminder of why you're here. And it's going to help lead you through this tunnel. It's going to help get you to your destination I will be creating that and posting that while we release control and keep the peace within us. Don't create a narrative for your life and for the future based on what you're seeing the outside world do. Understand that your destiny and what you were created for is still happening in your individual life. Please understand that and don't get discouraged. Our signs and symbols that are coming up today in this reading are actually sunshine, seeing the symbol of the sun. What that symbol is meaning is we are called to come together and be the sun during this time of darkness. We are called to really lean into our inner light, to our inner Holy Spirit, and really magnify that out into the world. It's a sign to let your light shine. Do not dim your light anymore. The next symbol that has been coming up is the snake. Right now, we are in the process of transformation. We haven't gotten to our destination yet. We're still shedding our skin. Also, humanity is still shedding its skin, and it's a reminder to have grace with yourself and where you are in your life, and to not despair or become worried or hopeless like this is how things are always going to be. That is not true. You are on your individual path to where you're going. You're being led out of the desert. You're being led to your promised land. So remember that with the snake. The last symbol is the cup. It's the goblet. The cup is almost like a medieval goblet. So they're saying that kind of cup or like a teacup. So either one of those for our symbol this time. Spirit is saying that the symbol of the goblet or the teacup is a sign that you have already accepted your cup. You are already on the path to your destiny. All you need to do is release control because we're not in control. And know that you are being taken there. Know that you are already on the path and be at peace. You can essentially be at peace. Know that the hopes and the dreams that you hold in your heart are coming to you. You've already accepted the cup. So we can release control and trust that we are being taken there. And the symbols for the last reading, the gold coin, the dragon, the Christmas tree, and the rainbow are also still relevant. So you can go back and remember those too. Have any of you all been seeing Christmas trees? I have been seeing Christmas trees in all different places. I think I posted it in a Substack note, but after a hard day letting go of someone that I love so much, I went into a restaurant and the entire restaurant was lined in Christmas trees. Very interesting. And if you remember from our last reading, Christmas trees are essentially signs of benevolence towards our fellow man during the darkest period of the year. And so Spirit was saying that energetically, we are in the darkest period of the year. And when we see Christmas trees, it is a sign that there is still love and good people and benevolence, and that we don't have to be afraid, and that the light is coming. I also saw Christmas trees when I was dropping my daughter off in a place where she was going to hopefully make some new friends. And it was just a sign of there's still goodness and hope. I saw a random Christmas tree when I was walking through a graveyard the other day. And so, yeah, it's springtime. And so it's nice to see these little Christmas trees. And for those of you listening on YouTube, there is an extended reading in our Substack with cards and card images that was very poignant. We had a lot of cards come out. You can go to cloakcathedral.com and click on messages and go to this Substack reading for your extended reading. Thanks so much, and I'm sending you lots of love.